What is up, you guys? Welcome to the, I guess we're in April, huh? April Tidal Gardens live stream. It is Easter weekend, so happy Easter, I guess, if that's a thing at all. So let's see. I'm just checking over all the things. I'm like zonked right now. I like sat down and had lunch, and now I'm like super sleepy. So hopefully I wake up a little bit during this live stream. So like usual, we start just a little bit early, make sure that everything is operational. We got some new broadcasting software updates. I usually don't do the software update the day of the live stream just in case anything goofy happens. But I was feeling adventurous today, and we shall see if we've got some goofiness going on. So anyway, let's see. Be the Fountain. What is up, Brandy? Hello. Ricardo Garcia. Amar Sharaf. Macy's Daddy. Jeremy Fraser. Cotty's Reef. Hello from England. Welcome. Welcome. Funny you say that, Cotty's Reef. One of our staff members is currently in England. Technically in the UK. He might actually be in Scotland right now. But yeah, he's on vacation for this week. So hopefully he's having a good time. I haven't talked to him. Okay, Deacanthus, long time no see. Yeah, it's been like a whole, 11 days or something. It's just how this particular schedule came together. Usually it's like 30 days to even like 2 months, but this particular month is like jam-packed with all kinds of goodies. So this was the only weekend that we could fit this in. So quick turnaround on the live shows. So in chat, let me know if I need to turn up the volume or anything like that. We can still do that. I revamped my audio setup just a little bit, so I can get a little bit more volume if necessary, which is nice. Jared, hello from Germany. Welcome. I've got a big affinity for a lot of like German pumps and stuff like that. And Abiz is like my favorite pump company. And today, one of our, during like maintenance, we cleaned this pump out. One of the volutes, I guess it's like the pump cover, just like snapped in half basically. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So hopefully we can get that fixed, because it'd be nice to have one of those pumps back online. Okay, real quick. Let's go over the sponsors of this show. So the two corporate sponsors, thank you very much to Ecotech Marine, and thank you very much to Polyp Lab. For Patreon, we have Angela Sherman, Big Lord Chi, Brandy Camp, Harkins Aquatics, Jeremy Altman, Scott Williams, Elaine Martinassi, Alan Jackson, Ann Lewis, Chuck Admire, Greg Bauer, Greg Zimmerman, Jordan Marty, Keith Singer, Kyle Jameson, Lisa Clow, Lackery Fine Art, Lynn Holt, Michael Shelley, Puddle Aquatics, Reef Infidel, Ryan Baker, Skylar Korn, Sue Himmons, Thomas Tarrant, and Tim Garner. And the YouTube special members, Keith Holland, Steven13, JB Bryan, Terry Kuhn, Tampa Bay Aquaculture, Stories Reef, Herb777, Justin Harden, and 328 Reef. Thank you guys so much. So for the folks that are new to how this live stream works, if you'd like to purchase coral, you can go to tidalgardens.com/live, and you will see all the corals posted there. Let me see if they are up. They should be. Yeah, let's see if I just made that part up right. The part where you can actually buy corals. Yep, they're there. So you can go to tidalgardens.com/live. Shipping. We haven't raised shipping yet, but I promise you that shipping is going to go up. We've just been busy. So shipping is a flat rate $29.99, and it is free for orders over $250. In order to actually get the corals, you have to complete the checkout process. So if you just have a whole bunch of stuff in your shopping cart and you wait 3 hours until the end of the show to check out, a lot of those items might be gone, especially if it's a particularly active show that day. So make sure to check out frequently, and you can select in the delivery options adding to an existing order. That way you don't get charged that $29.99 flat rate every single time. So that's just a little tip. You can read all about this as well on the live show frequently asked questions link right on that same page. But that kind of like covers the general basics of it. No international shipping or anything like that. It's just US only. So prepare accordingly, I guess. All right, guys, and thank you, Diacanthus Reef, for putting in some links for us. Okay, so B says we can go a little bit louder, so I shall. All right, so hopefully that's okay. I can tell I just clipped the mic, so I'm going to turn it down just a tad. All right, so anyway, hopefully this is okay. On my audio meters, it looks like I'm topping out the mic, so I'm going to turn it back down just a little bit. Or I can just speak more softly, one of the two, more ASMR-ish. We have 252 corals today, and that should take us a good 2 hours-ish, give or take, is my guess. A little over 2 hours. So we'll be done right around 4, give or take. All right, Coral Cabin, hello from the UK. I do want to get back to the UK at some point. I visited 2018 or 2019. I had a really good time. But that's been, I don't get to Europe very often. Very, very seldom do I get to do that. Okay, so everyone's saying like audio is fine. Good, good. And Blake, hello from Colorado. Hello. Had a really good time at Reef Stock when I was there. Went to Denver. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other announcements. We did launch a new website. I made that announcement last live show as well. If you had like an older account on our previous website, none of your account information came through to the new site. So it's important to create a new account. And we have a new rewards point program system. So you can start building up reward points on the new website. The new website so far I'm really happy with. There's still like some gremlins to work out. It was kind of ironic because on our old site, one of the payment processors went down, and so only PayPal still worked. We go to the new site and all the other payment processors work fine except for PayPal. So it just flip-flopped. We might have to like hire a Magento developer to see if they can fix the PayPal integration, because it's an integration issue, and frankly we just don't know how to fix what's currently wrong. Yeah, it's very bizarre because like PayPal is seeing the stuff, it's communicating data just fine, but getting it back to Magento and having it register an order isn't happening for some reason. I don't know. We're probably going to hire somebody on like Upwork or Fiverr or something. I don't know. But for now, there is no PayPal. It's just going to be credit card. All right, you got 45 seconds-ish before we start to get into the show. Oh, it's going to be a slightly different show this time around. I decided to do something a little bit different and not do the continuous color change thing. So I will probably be doing the continuous color shift thing throughout mostly the rest of the year, but usually like one show a year. I like to do it without it because the coral imagery, when I don't do that special effect, in my opinion, looks better because it's the color correction is not so heavy-handed, and you run into like some kind of like these imperfect color grading issues, because I'm basically copying and pasting this special effect across all the corals. And all those corals are different corals. They're shot under different lighting, different tank conditions. So certain corals look great, other corals might look a little goofy. But this way, when I'm just showing straight up a single color temperature with minimal editing, I think it kind of has like a nice purity to it. So every now and again, I like to do a clean live show appearance. Okay. So anyway, guys, you are more than free to post questions in chat. I usually just go off of like whatever conversations you guys are currently into. So that's a thing. Let's see. Is there anything like new going on here? We are getting a bunch of like little things done. It's super refreshing to not have a lot of big projects going on. Okay, just as that came out of my mouth, it's funny because I'm going to be doing big projects, but they're not necessarily directly Tidal Gardens related. So yesterday, at the end of the day, like just walking out the door, me and the last guy that's ending his shift, he's like, "Hey, we lost water pressure just now," and I'm like, "Okay, did we lose? Is the water pressure low, or is it gone? Because those are two very different things, right? Because if it's low, any number of things could be happening. Like my filters could be back flushing. That usually takes a lot of water pressure. It could be something else doing like a self-cleaning cycle. Again, that takes something off. Is there like a washing machine running in a different building? I don't know. So I test one of the faucets. There's zero water pressure. It's like, okay, that's not good. Maybe my house lost power and the well pump is not working or something like that. Go to the house. No, there is power. The well pump is just kind of dead. So I called like my go-tos for that, and they were able to get my well pump back up and running. The problem is that it's just a matter of time before it fails again, because my well pump is 20 plus years old. I've never changed it. I've lived here since like 2002. So there's a good chance that well pump is well over 20 years old. So usually a well pump I think is like 15 years tops. So 20 something is you're really pushing your luck. So that's going to be a fun little expense. And I'm also redoing the electrical in my house, because if you saw my electrical panel in my house, it is just this jumbled clown show mess. I was sick of looking at it. I just want to clean all of it up, make it organized. And this is now a good time, because when they put in the new well pump, they wanted to run 230, or yeah, I think it's a 230 volt to that. So anyway, that was my "we're not doing any big projects" thing. It's like, no, in fact, we are doing some pretty big projects. But as far as like Tidal Garden specifically, we're doing like all the little things. And little things are great because they're like minimal impact, but just that little bit of a refinement and polish just makes all the difference in the world. So as these things kind of get done, it just makes like everything better. And you don't always have to do these like big grand projects to like make an impact. So yeah, just like knocking down like the little to-do list has been really cool. Okay. Diacanthus, how long have you been culturing Euphyllia cristata? I enjoy their skeleton plates and manageable torch size. Geez, how long? I mean, a lot of the torches and stuff like that, we've probably had since before this building, so at least 5 years. Yeah, I mean, some of them were probably back before the Indonesia ban even. I kind of lose track because we do get new torches in occasionally. Occasionally, some of our old torches die, so it's going to be in that time frame. Speaking of torches and hammers and frog spawn and well, literally every other coral in this whole place, we sent out a biological assay to who are those guys? Reef something. But they do like a test for like bacteria and stuff. So we sent samples from our 8 largest systems, and it'll be interesting to see what comes back from that because every now and again we just lose a coral, just like some bacterial nonsense, and we've heard some anecdotes of people basically doing an antibiotic treatment on their tank, like a Cipro treatment for like a week, and after that, and they'll do like a heavier dose too. They'll like do a heavy dose of Cipro for an entire week and just nuke whatever's going on in their system, then repopulate with the beneficial bacteria like the Brightwell stuff, the Fritz stuff, the whatever stuff. They'll just get that back going, Dr. Tim's or whatever, the beneficial bacteria. So you nuke all the bacteria and then quickly repopulate it. And a lot of anecdotes out there that says that their corals really improved after that, and there weren't any like really deleterious side effects. We're going to try it on one of our systems first, and then we're probably going to be blasting the rest of our systems. I've never been like a huge fan of like the big whole tank treatment thing, but that was me talking like as a hobbyist. As a hobbyist, I don't like the full tank treatment thing, but on a coral farming scale, there's a lot to like about it. I never thought that I would like it very much, and usually there's not major problems, but every now and again you'll have like a favia that will discolor because of a certain treatment or something like that. That's expected, but no like wide scale losses or anything. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this bacteria thing might go well. Okay, coral cabins. So if I got it right, there isn't a way for shipping to the EU or UK. There really isn't. So when you're talking about international shipping, it is an ordeal. Like you're talking about international treaty stuff. It is practically a separate business altogether to do import-export. It is not a consumer level thing. So to put it into perspective, just the paperwork alone for me to send a box overseas would be hundreds of dollars. That does not include the hundreds of dollars in shipping. So it would require an export permit from me, an import permit from you, and all of the documentation, certification, just to like send the cargo, and then there's the price of actually getting cargo to you. So long story short, I think for anybody to send you anything would be minimum several $1,000s for literally anything to show up at your door. So I know that very few, but I have heard of like some folks do international deals, but those international deals typically start at between $20,000 to $50,000 before they would even pick up that phone call. International shipping is a lot. It is a whole lot. And on top of that, like I said, you guys on the other end need to be importers. There's again a lot of paperwork that has to go on that way, and a lot of fees and whatnot, depending on which country you're in. So yeah, it's not just like some consumer thing where you can just like shop for live coral and have it sent to wherever the heck. It just doesn't happen. Aqua biomics, yes. My dog is not gay. Curious name. Hello from the UK. Been watching you since the early days. Let's see. Looking to do a seahorse farm in Europe. Nice. How important is it to dose amino acids in a mainly LPS dominant and soft coral tank? Kenny, how important is it? Likely very little. When it comes to that type of supplemental stuff, you can get a lot of benefits from doing it. But I wouldn't say that it's necessary like ever, because like, we stopped doing amino acids because we're trying to eliminate some filter feeders in our systems. So we knocked down a lot of different types of filter feeding foods, one of which would be amino acids. And sure, we're not getting like peak growth and peak coloration from all of our corals, but things here are still doing really, really well. And the vast majority of hobbyists typically don't do a lot of amino acid feeding. So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. This is like the last 5% tweaking that I would say that when it comes to like things like that, that kind of like very fringe refined technique. But you will see some benefits. Granted, you might run if you have a filter feeder type problem already, like if you have like some little micro feather dusters that can bother coral, or you have vermitid snails, doing a lot of these additive foods, things like a lot of the powdered foods, amino acids, that can contribute to an explosion in their population because they love that stuff too, just like your corals. Jordan M. Where do people get cold water corals? There's some really cool stuff out there. That's a good question. I wonder if they are collecting that locally where they live. So, for example, like Washington State, they have, hopefully they're not poaching it from a national park, but offshore there are these cold water areas. Hillbilly Reefer. What's up, Dan? Been struggling with Bryopsis. Can a properly lit refugium defeat it in a display, or do I need to attack it with reflux or something similar? Would rather it go away naturally, thanks. Yeah, so assuming that stuff like fluconazole is off the table. For years, we never used stuff like fluconazole. Just kind of like those chemical treatments. And in fact, I would prefer that people didn't deal with algae issues that way, but I get it sometimes. You can do a lot by restricting nutrient, but I think more than that, it comes down to a herbivore issue. So Rich Ross, in this year's set of talks that he's been doing, has been all about how trying to control nutrients and trying to outcompete algae like that, or cyan, or whatever the heck. It's really, really, really challenging, and you're more likely to be unsuccessful starving it out in that way. Obviously, you want to control your nutrients to like a healthy level, but algae, especially Bryopsis, is going to be better at acquiring whatever is out there more than everything else. So his talk was all about going heavier on herbivores, because in natural reefs, there's a lot of studies about this. When you remove herbivores, that's when you get algae. You reintroduce herbivores, or where there are still herbivores, there's no algae. That is probably your best bet. Now, I know that a lot of stuff doesn't like to eat Bryopsis. Therefore, you just might be that herbivore with a siphon tube and a toothbrush, and just keep on working away at it until other types of algae can come in and outcompete. So a lot of times when you've kind of gotten your Bryopsis under control, it'll get choked up by other things like coralline and things of that sort. Now, to your direct question, would a refugium help? It might, but it is going to be less effective than direct removal. Anything that can, I guess, help mitigate like the nutrient and availability issue will have some effect, but again, it's I think greater effort has to be on the removal end of the spectrum. Larry Padilla, can you ship to Hawaii? No, we cannot. That's been like a really squirrely thing when it comes to Hawaii. There's basically like a coral ban there. Like, no. And this is where people hear different things, and that can be very confusing. Like fish and wildlife can get very confusing in this way, and especially with state stuff. So it's entirely possible that you'll call an authority and you'll get a completely different answer, and you only will figure out what the real thing is when you start getting fines. And basically, I don't know anybody that ships to Hawaii that does this a lot. Like nobody. I'm guessing that people have gotten dinged enough times that that's not a thing anymore. So, Bob Purcell, what is the general practice for dealing with excess coral frags when trimming back coral in tanks? I'm used to freshwater where I just throw away plant trimmings. Same in salt. We don't generally throw away coral. In fact, that's one of the things that started this company. Was way back 20 something years ago when I was a hobbyist. When if you do the hobby successfully, you do get good coral growth. And what do you do with these cuttings? Do you give them away? Do you try to sell them? Hopefully you're not throwing away live animals, that sort of thing. Do you try to sell them back to your local fish store? And I was in business school at the time, and I did a business plan about what it would look like to scale this up to a commercial level. And 20 years later, we're here. We don't want to throw away coral. So we will continue to discount certain coral to try to get to some equilibrium, or if we find like a high volume purchaser, for example, like a wholesaler or distributor of some kind that can literally take hundreds of corals of a certain type. So like if we have like trays of Montipora that have gone crazy, like they'll take all those trays, things like that. Those deals can be done like really inexpensively. When we're trying to sell coral to open up space, that's going to be a really good value because we're not really selling coral. We're buying back space, kind of. And so there's certainly some times where people have just like walked out of here with bucketfuls of coral for not that much money. And it is really just a matter of like of thinning out some of the stock that has built up. Online, what you might see is like a deep discount on something. So for example, right here, this chalice is about like 22% off. If we really wanted to move stuff because it's going insane, we'll drop it like 80, 90% off. That sort of thing. Decanthus says, I know Steve Wiest kept a lot of cold water stuff from the Puget Sound in addition to international orders from Australia. Interesting. I met Steve. First time I met him in Denver for reef stock. Nice guy. I didn't get to talk to him a lot, but I did meet him. There's a lot going on that weekend. Let's see. There's also succession in reefs, and we don't take that into account. Keeping a spot clean until coralline and microfilms. Yep, exactly. So you want to give those other algae and things like that an opportunity to fight off the stuff that you want to get rid of, i.e. bryopsis. And it's kind of interesting because like our problem here in many cases is coralline. But coralline is a much lesser evil than bryopsis. So in our tanks, you'll be very hard pressed to find bryopsis. And it's not really like we're doing anything that special. It's just we try to promote an environment where like stuff like coralline can get more of a foothold, more so than bryopsis. Travertine Pico, hello everyone. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Gary, I love these live shows. I listen while I do my weekly 10% water change. The key is to not look at the screen, otherwise I ruin my budget expenses. Made you look. So thanks, Gary. Fit Lab wanted to stop by and say hello. Welcome. Lots of great frags for sale. Are you getting more Blastowelsi anytime soon? So Blastowelsi is one of those corals that that we had struggled with for a really long time. So we haven't been on the lookout for them, which is kind of a shame because Blastowelsi right now, I would argue, is in its absolute peak as far as the availability and the color morphs. We can get Welsi in anytime we want, but for a while they weren't doing well, and we want to culture stuff forever, right? It's not just like we want to bring it in and flip it. And I think that goes back to an earlier discussion that we were having about just nuking our tanks with antibiotics, because I have a feeling that they're coming in with something like kind of funky, and they're just going downhill from there. So we might be incorporating like some more antimicrobial stuff during quarantine, and whatever's currently in our tanks, I want to hard reset that. But we've also sent out some aquabiomics. I was thinking, I'm sure it's like reef something. I couldn't remember the name of the company, but it's aquabiomics. Seeing if anything shows up on the bacterial assay, just as a curiosity, just to set a baseline before we start nuking it. But I think the decision has pretty much already been made that we're gonna start nuking it, but we're gonna start slow and then go from there. But that was a long-winded way to say we haven't gotten back into Blastomussa. We hope to soon once we start to do these full tank treatments, and whatever is like annoying, very specific corals like that, we'll hopefully get on top of. Let's see, Cody. If one LPS frag, say an ACAN, gets brown jelly and is removed relatively quickly, what is the likelihood that other corals will also get brown jelly? It's possible. It's possible. Like, it's not like usually this sort of thing happens to more sensitive coral, meaning that there was like a stress event of some kind. That obviously is not helpful. But I've had situations where I've lost like one particular coral, and it's like, well, that's weird. I take that out, and then I'll do like a maintenance on that tank. Let's say like siphoning detritus or something, or blowing detritus off of other corals, and then 4 other corals randomly will just die. And that, clearly, like, that's a bacterial thing, because I know you asked about LPS, but my example is specific to Acropora. Acros, when they die from like a weird like RTN, like a bacterial issue, like the parts of them that are still alive are completely happy. They are vibrant coloration. Well, they have vibrant coloration. Their polyps are fully extended. And half of their body is like literally flaking off in real time, and within like a few more hours the whole thing will be dead. It is like the freakiest thing ever. And so like all I can think is like, oh well, the only thing that I did was I blew off detritus, and the detritus might have landed on another coral and just boom, gone. So again, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? Not super likely. Okay. Mr. Best Shot 33. Curious if you plan on putting more tanks in your new building, more grow out space. Nah, kinda. So we might add a few smaller tanks, but not like another big system. We're already planning on bringing a 200-gallon over from the greenhouse to here. That'll happen way later, like summer, early fall, not a big hurry. But that would be the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head. Bryopsis is the bane of my reefing experience so far. Can't ever seem to kill it off completely, always returns. That is a systemic issue, Mort. But again, if I don't know if you've been in this hobby a long time, but this is the sort of thing that does go away, and once you've beaten it once, it usually doesn't come back, and you will forget that you even had this problem. That's kind of how like my mentality works. It's like I haven't had to deal with Brapsis in so long. One day I'll have it. It'll really really be miserable to deal with. I'll deal with it, then I'll forget that I ever had the problem. That's just kind of how the hobby works. Bob Purcell, I'm new, just started up. Don't think about that until I was trimming back my planted tank. Just curious what the general consensus is. I don't know a lot of people that throw away coral. I guess I do. I know some people that do, but I don't like to do that. It's like I don't like to punish my own success in that way, right? It's super unfair to the animal too, right? Alex Siloweski, what's the best ICP company? Dude, I don't know. There's some debate whether ICP is even good. Again, going back to like the Rich Ross example, like he was talking on his Reef Beef podcast that nobody at the professional level uses this. Professional meaning like public aquariums and whatnot. Nobody uses ICP. There's like some questions as to its efficacy, or its like the technology itself is even appropriate for saltwater tanks like this. And I wish I could tell you more, and I wish I knew more about that, but I really don't. We use it, but sometimes what we'll do is we'll order like multiple kits from multiple manufacturers, and sometimes even double up on them. Like for example, like Company X. We'll send Company X 2 samples from the same tank and see if their lies match up with the other lies. That sort of thing. Like just like verify everything, guys. Like I wouldn't just be like, oh, try this brand. I endorse this brand. Not me. I know like there's some places have their favorites. We don't really yet. We've tried a handful of different ones, at least 4 different ones perhaps, but it is really difficult to like get like a baseline validity that we're comfortable with. Oops, I scrolled a little bit too far. Funny you said that about Blastomussa. I've had a few come in great and seem to be doing well, and just had one arrive last week that died on the way to my house. I always heard Wellsea were hardy. Depends on where they're collected. Like I said, the really cool ones are here, like I've never seen before. And sometimes when you never see them before, they're not like the boring old ones from days past. Polar Reef by Andrew Sandler. Hey, any ice cream? Hey there, ice cream coffee. Any today? No ice cream coffee today, but that does sound really good right about now. Like here's the thing. Now that we're heading into spring, like you guys had the vanilla the last time you were here. Spring is strawberry season, and fresh strawberries and turning that into ice cream is ridiculously good. Like it's habit formingly good. Next time. Do you have bubble algae? Yes. If yes, how do you manage? How do you prevent it? Peroxide dips. So Christopher, what do we do? Again, herbivore issue. So any number of fish would like to eat them. For example, like fox faces like to eat them. Emerald crabs, that's another option. And sea urchins are another option. You can also, like if you wanted to go crazy with fluconazole, you could do that. That'll help. I still don't like fluconazole that much, even though it is effective, because sometimes it down colors certain LPS for like months, and I don't love that. Ellery, one of the reasons some LFS, I scroll past it again. Owners I know tend to remove coralline is that they think it competes with the corals for calcium, magnesium. They not only compete with them for elements like that, they outcompete them for space. Like if you have the right kind of coralline growing up against stony corals, it'll prevent the stony coral from growing. Like it can be like that. So you have to like scrape back the coralline to let the the LPS grow sometimes. Or sometimes they can overgrow zoanthids, like completely cover a zoopolyp. Kenny, I'm starting to see spirobid worms. Sometimes I heard them called spionid worms also on my tank's glass. Or maybe that's a different thing. Spirobid and spionid. Spirobid. Are those like the little white ones that are with the little red plumes? Is there anything that can be done to eradicate them? I find that they return shortly after escaping. I'm gonna look this up. Hold on. I'm behind on chat already, guys. It was like so quiet earlier. It's like a ghost town in here, and then now I'm like behind on chat. Oh, okay. Spirobid worms. So those are like the little white ones. Can you make them go away? Not really. I mean, not in any way that you would really want to do. Just scrape them off. I mean, they come off so easily. Otonildo Lima, come to Brazil. I would love to. I've never been. My parents have been once, but I've never been. I heard good things. Has anyone had clown gobies transfer RTN from coral to coral? That's an interesting question. That's a really interesting question. I haven't owned a clown goby in legit 15 years, so I don't have the answer for you, I'm afraid. Yes, mysterious RTN has been my latest headache. I mean, we have RTN issues as well. It's not like, well, issues. I mean, issues meaning like it's happened like one coral every week, maybe, tops, sort of thing. Like in 20,000, how many gallons do we have? Over 10,000, under 20,000, something like that. A lot of coral here. You'll have like one thing die and be like, that's weird. But yeah, no, it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating more than anything else. Catherine, I struggle with Cyphastria. They bleach and die. I'm wondering if I just put them into too much light. Too much light will definitely kill them. Start with that, then move on to water chemistry. Pests are less of an issue with that particular coral. And also, if you are aggressively dipping them before you're putting them into your tank, they are more sensitive to dips, I think, than some of the other corals. Lucas, fluconazole knocked out the bryopsis down for me, and a blue tuxedo urchin has kept it back. There you go. Be the fountain. Now I will expect strawberry ice cream. So B, start to like out your location, but she is planning on coming here later this month. Is it this month? Are we there yet? Or is this happening? Oh yes, it is later this month. And we are going to be doing a series of videos about the scientific research that is actually out there and how it pertains or does not pertain to this hobby. I even came up with a clever name for that series. It's called Reef Receipts, right? So it's like, there's like a lot of pseudoscience out there. Let's see what the actual science says, AKA the receipts. So anyway, B, when you're here, yes, we will definitely get strawberries. We will definitely have strawberry ice cream. That's worth the trip by itself. Kidding me? Desjardins sailfin tanks tend to eat bubble algae as well. And a lot of times it's also about the density of the herbivores. Because we have a tank that has, we have a Desjardins sailfin, 2 fox faces, we have a naso in there, we have probably 7, or maybe fewer than that, maybe 5 yellow tangs. We've got urchins, we've got emerald crabs. And in that tank, there is still bubble algae. And it's in a 600-gallon tank, but it just so happens it's there's just enough surface area for that stuff to grow that satiates the hunger of all of those herbivores. So what's the answer? In my case, probably more emerald crabs, probably more urchins. Dave Metzler, I've got a mixed reef. My SPS does great, Triton method, and I have a goniopore that thrives, but no luck with hammers, frog spawn torches. It could be any number of reasons, really. I think a lot of times when we put in a lot of really, really different corals, into a system, there's only so much adaptation or I guess, is adaptation the right word? Adjustment range that these corals can really do. Like in our systems, we largely keep our stuff consistent across systems. And I'm trying to now separate it out just a little bit more, because there's certain things that we would do for like in a system full of acros that will work, but it comes at the expense of like really bothering some LPS in that system. So what I'm trying to do now is to like remove those LPS from that system, and at that point, like you can go crazy with like these acro specific things going on. Like if you wanted to run fluconazole, go crazy in that system, because it doesn't like, it doesn't mess with them as bad as certain other things. But yeah, there's stuff that you can, that in order to keep acros happy will make other things unhappy. It's just one of those things. Than the Coral Farmer, lawyer, men's fashion aficionado, and gelato dealer. It's true. It is true. And we joke about the ice cream thing, except when Andrew Sandler was over here, they had like a religious experience involved with this ice cream. So it's like, it's not underrated. It's like, it is so ridiculously good that I've personally never had gelato that good, like ever. Just to have it like freshly made there. So good. Chris B, why is it so cold and wet? We're in spring. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, here it's been like super sketch as well. Like we went from 70 degrees and the air conditioning running to now it's like super chilly again. I know I have some bubble algae because sometimes I see a little while doing maintenance, but my emerald crab keeps it down to the extent that it never bothers me. Yeah, and that's like emerald crabs. I think that they do like a really good job. You just need like more of them than you might think. So I think next time I might just buy like 20 more of them and just throw them all into the tank if I'm that bothered by the algae. Am I that bothered? I'm sort of bothered. And really a lot of it, though, is that I've got big fish. And in Marco Rock is a very rough texture. And so there's a lot of nooks and crannies that are just like, they're like Valonia depth. So there's nothing really peeking out from past that nook or cranny. And so like the fish can't really get down in there. So I have to leverage inverts like that. Speaking of those inverts, though, we unfortunately lost a whole bunch of them when we did Interceptor. We tried to catch as many as we could. They try to run and hide. There's only so much you can do in a huge tank, and then you nuke this tank and you have like a handful of like dead emerald crabs. So that kind of sucks. But yeah. So now that we've done with that type of treatment, whole tank treatment, we can get back into like loading up on things like emerald crabs. I don't know why, but I just got like, you probably heard it on the microphone. I got some spam like text. Like I don't know, I didn't know that spam texts were a thing, but it's like, hey, I don't know why I saved your number. I didn't save your name. What's your name? And then they'll send me like a picture. And it's like always like some super hot Chinese girl or something. Like, yeah, we don't know each other. That was an aside. Let's talk about Valonia again. Let's see. What kind of urchins do you recommend for algae control? Aren't some prone to eating coral? Are they prone to eating coral? Probably not. No. Usually the issue with urchins is that they bulldoze. They like to grab stuff and then they take off running with it, or they'll just like trample something. But just sit there and eat coral, not so much. My favorite looking ones are tuxedo urchins. Every time I've ever ordered tuxedo urchins, they die. I don't know. But maybe it was also because we were running fluconazole at the time also, and none of the ones that we got in our order survived, which is crazy because this is the one that like people breed for a number of different reasons, but they're supposedly one of the easier ones to keep. So maybe my issue was more fluconazole issue, not a tuxedo urchin issue. But we also get the ones from the Caribbean. I think they're the white colored diademas. Yeah. Anyway, okay, what number are we on? We're on 82 already. Nice, making some progress. Yeah, the other issue, like I'm like looking at some of the zoanthids here. Some of the issues that we run into with whole tank treatments is that they can just kind of like stunt the growth of certain corals. I haven't noticed it quite so bad with zoas, but when you do upset zoas specifically, they can take a long time to get over it. So occasionally when we like ship out some zoas to a customer and they're closed, it's like I know that they're going to be fine, and they're going to be fine, but they can be closed and upset for a long time, like possibly like upwards of a month before they open. And so I know that a lot of customers they can get a little salty about that, so we end up doing something for them. But yeah, you do have to like watch out for like stress events, because you could have a situation where, yes, congratulations, you have fixed an issue, but in the process you've upset certain corals and it just takes a long time for them to get over it. So Port Wolf, can you teach us more about snake polyps, and do you maintain any? We have like a handful of snake polyps. They are a little neglected in our systems because what happens is they come out to eat at really inopportune times. They come out to eat mainly at night, and for us, nobody's around to feed them. So they just kind of like hang on here. In order for them to do well, I think you have to feed them pretty aggressively. And they are unlike Chibastria, sun corals. They're unlike sun corals in that you can train sun corals to come out during the day. I have them right next to like snake polyps and sun corals right next to one another. And these snake polyps do not want to cooperate. Like they just don't come out at the same time. So they're, in my experience, they are untrainable. So if you want to do well with them in your tank, set aside some dark time for them and feed them when they come out, because it's really obvious when they come out too. They're really cool. They have oftentimes they have like a black polyp, and they're very easy to feed once they show up, but it's very light dependent. Deacanthus, I suppose those pods your mandarin was subsisting on got purified out of the system with Interceptor 2. Yes, like amphipods, copepods, they all get nuked. Eventually they all come back, meaning I think that the eggs and whatnot are surviving, which is fine. I don't know if there's like an overwhelming benefit to those things other than a mandarin. Funny story, I bought the mandarin to eat those things. Like, I didn't buy the mandarin because I just like mandarins. I wanted to reduce those things' population to begin with. Now, sometimes I think that those things can bother corals. Everything can bother corals, but anything that can just actively walk on a coral could be a nuisance. So that's kind of like why I went like harder with blasting away with Interceptor. I think in the future I won't do a whole tank treatment of Interceptor because I kind of like having a baseline population of certain shrimp and crabs and things like that. So what I think I'm gonna do is to remove all the corals from a certain tank and do an overnight dip in Interceptor, because we have like these 50-gallon Rubbermaid stock tanks now that we can basically just turn on to like just it's an overnight treatment, so it's not that big a deal really. We'll just take all the corals out, even on like new trays, put them in there, blast them with Interceptor. Next day, give them like a good rinse, put them back in the tank. I don't need it to wipe out every trace of everything. I mean, when you knock stuff off of your corals in that fashion, it goes a long way. And if the problem is really bad, if you've taken out all the trays, all the coral from a tank, you can probably also just get in there and scoop up all the remaining inverts. I'm just talking to myself on that. And most people out there in the audience, you probably will not have this level of logistic issues if you don't have a coral farm, but this is the sort of thing that we have to deal with. Okay, Jessen Orvala. Have you tried nudibranch tanks and sponge fragging? I'm currently trying to grow a blue sponge for nudibranch food. I've seen it require silicate to grow and no idea how to dose it. I've only successfully grown ugly like gray sponge. Like the sponge that people are trying to get rid of. That sort of stuff, I can grow the heck out of that. And I do nothing for it. But any kind of like decorative pretty sponge, I have not been successful now. And the only nudibranchs that I try to actively grow are the Aiptasia eating ones. And usually what happens with me is I run out of Aiptasia. Even when I like dedicate Aiptasia farming tanks, I'm not able to farm Aiptasia fast enough. Such is life, right? It's like you have them in the tanks where you don't want them, and in this Aiptasia farm, they don't grow fast enough. So typical. But we got some more nudibranchs in. We ordered some, and I'm not like super thrilled by like my little Aiptasia farming tank, so we just like threw them all into there. So who knows? Maybe like in a few weeks we'll get some nice fat ones that we can put back on the website. They were a huge hit the last time we offered them for sale. Chris C. Playground sand is high in silicates. True. It's basically almost all silicate. That is a good point. Oh, man. We are getting close to the halfway point. Not that close, so maybe like a half hour away from the halfway point. We've got 252 corals on this particular show. Let's see. So the midway point would be what, 125-ish, give or take? Sorry, I'm checking something here. If you want to hear something also kind of funny, I've gone down this rabbit hole lately of trade show displays. The last time that Tidal Gardens was an exhibitor at a trade show was like 2014. So yeah, 9 years ago was the last time that we had set up a booth. And I pretty much said, I'm never going to do this again. And I don't know why, but I'm kind of starting to get the itch again, not just to go to shows, but to actually be an exhibitor. And that's a weird brain chemistry change. Like I would never have guessed that that would be a thing that I would want to do. Exactly. Like, yeah, you just wake up and like, yeah, maybe I do want kids. Like that sort of thing never comes into my head, right? It's like I never think, man, I want to set up a booth, because every single time I talk to like the coral sellers, I've got like a few friends that do that, And every single time I'm like, I am so glad I'm not you right now. Like Dwayne Ward, for example, if you know like Ward's Aquatics, or like zoanthids.com, like Brandon, any of these guys, right? I'm like, I just look at their display. I'm thinking, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to work like you right now. I'm so glad I'm just a tourist. I'm gonna go to the bar right now and go get myself a cheeseburger and hang out and talk with people. Like that to me has been like, like goals for whenever I'm at these trade shows. But now I don't know. I don't know what it is. You know what I bet I know what it is. It's that I'm having fun planning like my ideal truck to go to these shows. Cause secret here. I drive a 2008 Honda Accord Coupe. I hope it's so what's that, 15 years old, something like that. I hope I run that thing until the wheels fall off. I'm not really a car guy, right? So I just have like this Honda, runs forever. It's been great. But you can't fit a lot of stuff in a coupe. And I'm really tired of like trying to call in favors for, to go get wood, for example. So, and you know what? Like Tidal Gardens is like, it's a big enough business where you kind of need a work vehicle. So part of it is I was already kind of shopping for a work vehicle. And then my mind gets going. It's like, what you can also do with the work vehicle, you can haul coral around the country and set up shop and blah, 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 and sell coral on the weekend. So that kind of got me like brainstorming. And it turns out that there is an RV customization shop in Ohio that is highly respected for doing like great work. And usually like Elkhart, Indiana is like the mecca of like RVs and stuff like that, right? All like the customization shops are there. So I was figuring, I probably have to like buy a Sprinter van and just like drive to Elkhart, Indiana, leave it there for like 6 months and let these guys just, do whatever they do to a Sprinter to make it awesome. But it turns out that there's this place in Ohio and they basically make land yachts, you guys. So the median price of one of their mobile homes, I call it a mobile home, but it's not, because like my house doesn't look like that. That thing looks like a yacht with wheels. It's like $400,000. So they like do like incredible, crazy work. And I'm just thinking like, maybe I want these guys to do my truck, and not necessarily to make it like ridiculously nice on the inside, but they engineer stuff like from the ground up, so they can do like crazy stuff to like the suspension and all the systems and stuff like that. And they can do some really, really cool things that would be like trade show, highly specifically good for what I had in mind. So I don't know, maybe I'm just like brain shopping for something like that. Anyway. So it might not be out of the realm of possibility. Like for the last 10 years or so, it was an impossibility for Tidal Gardens to show up as an exhibitor to a frag swap or a trade show. It's still unlikely, but it's not zero anymore. We've gotten off of zero. Okay, back to chat. Let's see. I thought it was 2015 MACNA in DC. Oh, okay. So I got the dates wrong. I thought 2014 was MACNA in DC. But yes, whichever year was MACNA in DC, that was the last time that I did it, I think. Moving aquarium truck upcoming. Yeah. So Brandy and I like parallel text each other stuff. Like she'll text me stuff about such and such topic, and I will text her stuff about completely unrelated stuff, and we'll just like text right past each other. It's kind of funny. But yeah, that's all I've been texting her about is like truck stuff. That truck is gonna be dope though. If I ever build it, going to be really, really nice. So is he coming to Aquatic Expo in the van? No, I'm not. Also, like the wait list for one of these custom vans, it's years. It's probably like 18 months. So I wouldn't expect me to hit the road anytime soon. Not to be an exhibitor anyway. That's asking a lot. And also, like, I don't have anybody to actually work the booth, because like all the guys here, I mean, they're not going to be available to do like weekend trips like this. You know, it's just not in the cards. So I would basically have to field a different crew in order to do these shows with me. So that's its own thing too, you know. It's a lot of moving parts, you guys, a lot of moving parts. But I think that it could be, if what I have dancing around in my brain can be done, it'll be pretty neat. And again, even when I'm not traveling for trade shows and whatnot, it would be a highly utilitarian vehicle to have. So, you know, I don't have to like pay for delivery of like random stuff. So, I mean, I remember like back in the day when I used to do it, like just how far things have come, because these days, you know, there's kind of like some best practices, like a list of best practices. And back when I used to do that, let's say, you know, in like the early 2000s and like the 2010s, people just had no clue what the heck they were doing. They would show up with like a 50-gallon tank that was like 18 inches deep and fill that whole thing with water and collapse a table. Like crazy stuff. There would always be somebody like flooding something because they don't know what they're doing. They would do like the sketchiest stuff. Like I remember I'm not calling anybody in particular out, because it's not one person in particular. Like a bunch of people did this stuff. For example, I remember one guy, he set up tanks at a trade show, and he just ordered coral from a wholesaler and had it sent to the hotel. Can you imagine what kind of problems that might pose, you guys? Like if you've ever ordered anything from a wholesaler, like what shows up, and it's going to be like very unlikely that it's going to do okay at all, because it's going to be a pretty rough ride. And on top of that, it's going into a trade show display, not like an established system. It's going to go into a trade show display. And their idea was that this stuff is going to perk up in time for somebody to actually buy it. I'm pretty sure they went out of business like instantaneously, like after that brilliant idea. Yeah, crazy town. Yeah, like there's all kinds of stuff that happened. Or like either the coral didn't show up, or their trade show like booth didn't show up. Like they used like some shipping company to even like get their booth to the venue, and that thing got stuck somewhere in shipping, which happens all the time, you guys, by the way. Like every show I will talk to some vendor and I'll be like, hey, for example, Polyp Lab, sponsor of the show, be like, hey Phil, how'd setup go? Did it go pretty smoothly? He's like, no, my booth isn't even here. My booth might not even show up this weekend. I'm like, oh, cool. So I guess you have more time to since you don't have a booth, we should hang out sometime this weekend. Like that sort of thing. Every single show, somebody's booth doesn't show up. Can you imagine your booth not showing up and then you have a coral order coming in? Have fun with that. Have fun. Yeah, stuff like that happened all the time back in the day. I mean, obviously the trade shows booth not showing up, that still happens today, but people had some ideas. Ryan, what is up? I've played with the same idea of building a transport truck for shows. That's the only way that I would do it. I would have to have like a purpose-built thing, because setting up shows, not that fun. Probably standing behind a table for like 2 days straight, also not that fun. There's like some ergonomics that really have to be taken into account in doing this. Like, I don't love the idea of having employees like hauling around heavy coolers of water. Like this sounds like I'm gonna have like workplace injury issues going on here. So like the truck has to have a lift gate. I don't want people lifting stuff from truck level down to the floor. Unnecessary. There's technology for this. That sort of stuff. Let's see. I'll work the booth and drive the van to all the shows. I'll work for corals. Careful what you offer, bro. Careful what you offer. That's actually sounding like a deal. I was thinking, like, can I just like do a thing where like people just like not even necessarily volunteer, like volunteer to do the thing, and I compensate them, but just like have like a makeshift group for the weekend. But then it's like like then I don't know these people, and technically they're representing my company. It's a whole thing. So moving parts, we'll get to that once I have a truck. Once I have a truck, then I'm gonna be like thinking like really hard about this. Let's see. Booths don't show up often. Yeah, exactly. Like booths not showing up still happens with people who do this many times a year, which makes me wonder, like, if the booths don't show up, is there a chance that me and my truck won't show up? Is this like a normal on the road thing that just happens? So part of my thinking is like, I need like an Adventureland cruiser that can survive the apocalypse. And people make sprinters into like doomsday vehicles. It's like, do I need to like, in addition to like making like a work truck, do I need to like make like a survivalist rolling camp? Because I'll do that too. I'll get crazy enough, because I've seen some pretty like cool modded out trucks. Speaking of, do you guys remember my friend Matt from Jayo Nation? He has a YouTube travel channel, lived in China for a long time, still might, sort of. I think he bought a house in Indiana and has been doing stuff in the States lately. But he started to do like the whole van life thing in addition to biking around the world. And stuff. He does a lot of stuff. But he basically is doing this van thing by himself. Like, he wanted to learn how to completely take apart this van, and he got all this like high-end equipment because like a lot of people like knock on, oh, I'm an influencer, do you want to work with me? Well, Matt, he's got like 120-ish thousand subscribers on YouTube. Coming from somebody that has like 100,000 subscribers, you are an influencer. When you get to that point, you're really doing some heavy lifting. But Matt has 1 million subscribers in China. Now you're moving the needle quite significantly. So a lot of companies in the van life space are happy to donate some product and some time and expertise for him to do videos about their product and whatnot, because it's going to be seen by a lot of eyeballs for the cost of some product, right? No-brainer stuff. But he is learning how to install all this stuff. And so I can't wait till the next time I get to talk to Matt, because now that I'm kind of like in that same insane mindset, talking about like, like what can I do to a truck to make it awesome? Like, he'd be like a wonderful person to talk to, because he's done tons of research. Like he's that type of guy also, that he's gonna like, it's gonna stir in his mind, and the fact that like he's actually done a lot of the work. I'd love to like pick his brain about this stuff. It's a fun topic. Make sure driving in flat roads. Yes. Yeah, instead of the bookmobile, have the coralmobile. Exactly. It sucks working. The shows are great. It's worth the suffering for the parties and the dinners. Just have to make everything See, here's the thing though. Like I go to the parties and the dinners anyway, with no obligations. Granted, like Granted, I'm not making money while I'm at the venue. I mean, maybe there's like a speaker fee and somebody's covering my room or something, but uh, it's not like every now and again you see people lose money. Like I lost money the last time I did it at Macna. I think I lost 5 grand, you guys. After all that work, I lost 5 grand, and I'm like, I'm retired. But then again, you hear like stories of like, yeah, so and so made 40 G's this weekend. And I'm like, I think when I did it in an entire year, I didn't make $40,000 in all the trade shows I went to that year. Like that sort of stuff. Like the numbers sometimes seem so high and outrageous, and then you hear about like so and so did like 6 figures some weekend. I'm like, I mean, it's fun being a tourist and all, but would I work that weekend to make $100,000? I would probably do it. I'd probably do it. Knowing my luck, I'll go back first show. I'll lose $5,000 after having spent land yacht levels of money on a truck. That would probably be my luck. Okay. Anyway, Steven13, YouTube member. Thank you. Hi from Ocean City, New Jersey fan. What are your thoughts on BRS's pricing power within the hobby? I don't even know if I have an opinion on that. It's one of those things like it works out until it doesn't. I was thinking specifically of something like Amazon. Occasionally they do have the best price, and in the past they used to like always have the best price. These days that's not always true, oddly enough. There's that. Also, BRS, they carry a lot of products, but they don't carry every product. So sometimes I'm looking for something specific and BRS doesn't have it. So I don't think that it is as much of like a mega predatory monopoly antitrust issue or anything like that just yet. But I mean, in the past, there have been these types of like big conglomerates, and as far as I can think, I've never seen one actually work out. Like, do you guys remember like Dr. Foster's and Smith? They looked like an unbeatable force in the pet industry. Like absolutely unbeatable. They got acquired, and over time it didn't quite work out. That sort of thing. So I'm not gonna like pass any judgment on it. I was like, you know what? Let's see if it works out. There's plenty of time to tell. And it's like I've known like those guys for like a long time. I've known Ryan for like a really long time, and from like the companies that they've acquired and brought under that Aperture umbrella. I've known those guys for a long time. It'll be really interesting to see like how like big corporate works out, because it's not for everybody, and sometimes like you go like a couple rounds of big corporate, then it doesn't work out for anybody. Like that happens not just in the pet industry, it happens a lot, period. So I was talking to somebody about, and sorry for like the business class lesson here, but I think it's interesting. So the way that private equity works is that an investment company will buy a company and some other synergistic companies, whether it might be like direct competition or it could be like the manufacturer of this and that, and so they can all bring it in-house, whatever. And the first thing that they can do is they can cut cost, and well, we don't need 5 accounting departments, we need 1 accounting department. We don't need 5 HR offices, we need 1 HR office. We don't need to do advertising and marketing for like 5 or 6 companies. We can do it for 1 company. So you pare down a lot of like the organizational excess from combining like all these companies. So that this is private equity. Okay, they go out and they're making this investment, and with this additional money, they can do more grand things at scale. Cool, great, but there is this cost savings. And the idea is that within a certain time frame is to sell to another bigger private equity group. So it made sense at the first level. The second level is where it gets a little bit more tricky, because now there aren't those easy cuts where it can be like, well, we don't need 5 HR departments. We need 1 HR department. No, you're starting with 1 HR department. So where can you make cuts? You make cuts on product and product quality. And that's usually when stuff starts to go downhill. Or you cut down on like the amount of customer service. You cut down on some of the customer-facing perks that made previous company so popular in the industry. These things happen. So it'll be, like I said, I definitely don't have a dog in this fight. Technically, Ecotech Marine, sponsor of the show. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. In my experience, it has never worked out. So, but first time could be now. Okay. So you guys got like MBA class right there on private equity investing in a nutshell. I would live the retired life so well. Me too, Chris. I can live the retired life. Absolutely. Let's see. Kenny, I have 3 heads. Yeah, let's talk about coral. I have 3 heads of some Paleothoa. What is the real danger of contracting polytoxin poisoning? Would you recommend I just dispose of the coral rather than take any chances? Your biggest chance right now that you would take is trying to remove those corals. Legit. If you just have pally sitting in your tank and you're not messing with it and it's not messing with you, the risk is like very little. If you try to like scrape at it and rip it out, you are now at severe danger. I don't know of a great way to remove Paleothoa. I did talk to Joe Yaulo, who is like the owner and curator of like the aquarium at Long Island, and he removed a lot of them. And he used a lot of bleach. And I asked him like specifically, so bleach neutralizes polytoxin? And he said yes. Because we have pallies here that I would like to remove, but I'm not going to jeopardize my staff in trying to do the removal part. And frankly, I don't want to get poisoned either. So I'm just letting them be. But when the time comes, you have to like dispose of them properly, because otherwise it'll be like on a piece of rock. 6 months later, you're going to bring that rock inside and it's going to be a problem for you. You're going to get sick, or it's going to kill somebody's dog that's out there. Like, you don't want to mess with that. So if it's just sitting in your tank, it's actually as safe as it's ever going to be. It's when you try to start to eliminate it that, you know, be careful. Be real careful, because it could be really bad. What was that filter I wanted that BRS didn't sell, so I got the C-shape pump instead? It was it was a Magnum polishing filter made by Marineland. Okay. Okay. And there's a lot, sorry about that. So it's catching up on chat. Apparently there's a lot of stuff about bras, because there's a typo about BRS getting like auto changed to bra. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that alone. Thanks. All right, I want to check something real quick. Cool. So yeah, no, absolutely no problem B with you starting off-topic stuff in my chat. I do this to other people's streams all the time. Like I'm like frankly the worst about it. Like one time there was like some stream, I forget who it was, but he had like guests on and stuff like that. They're having like this really in-depth conversation, and all anybody was talking about in chat was hot sauces because of me. All we did was talk about hot sauce in chat. And when like the host of that particular live stream was like, let's see if there's any questions in chat for so and so. It's like, it's as if he just like got off at the wrong stop on a bus or something. He's just like, what the hell am I? Because there's nothing reef related going on in chat. So I can't be mad, right? I can't be mad. But anyway, so B, you and I need to like come up with what videos that we want to make when you come and visit at the end of this month, because there's like all these different like scientific journals and stuff like that that we're going to be looking at. We just need to pick, okay, which are like the 3 or 4 winners out of this that we really want to talk about and make videos around. So we'll have to get to that, but that'll be like a cool series, I think, because if you guys didn't know, Be the Fountain, she has, a lot of research background, and that's like her genuine passion. I can tell because she like sends me this stuff all the time, but I'm less passionate about, let's just say, I'm less passionate about scientific journals. But yeah, so I think, and she's really into like education and higher education and teaching. So I thought that would be like a good fit, because we don't, as a hobby, we don't delve much into the science that's actually out there. We have a lot of bro science, right? We have a lot of anecdotal stuff, and which, by the way, anecdotal observations are still observations. This entire hobby is based on that. It is more an art than it is a science. But the science that is out there that exists, most people in the hobby have no idea that it even does exist. And sometimes it will be really helpful and pertinent. Sometimes it'll be like, well, that was a cool study, but it does not apply to this hobby for X, Y, and Z reasons. Either way, that information is valuable. And like my goal with that whole series is to kind of like bridge the gap a little bit between like what is already kind of like known in the scientific community and how that relates to the hobby, if it relates at all. Like one thing, for example, there was like a really interesting study about light and UV, but it was done in the Mediterranean, and their observation pertained to one coral. Clearly, that one coral, not in the hobby. Also, Mediterranean. That is a very different climate than what we keep our reefs at. So is any of these observations done in that particular study valuable to us, right? But again, good to know that these data points are out there, because even if it's a whack data point for our purposes, it is still a data point. Good to know about these things. Also, it's good because there are some things that are like cited all the time, and a lot of times people don't understand the underlying research that got us there. So for example, it's like the toxicity of leather corals. There was a study to determine the toxicity of leather corals. It's kind of whack, and it is a data point, but I think that people have kind of slavishly gone with it. And me personally, I would have no problem keeping a giant toadstool leather in a coral full of acropora. I've done it. It's fine. Is it ideal? Probably not. But can you do it? Absolutely. Any tips on trace elements? Funny you mentioned trace elements. And I'll relate this back to the talk about ICP that we did earlier. There's not a really great way to test for trace elements, in my opinion. A lot of like the hobby grade trace element tests, they might not do the best job in the whole wide world. ICP might be a flawed technology, like at its fundamental levels, to even do this work. But we had sent out some samples specifically looking at trace elements. And the idea that we want is just to make sure to get off of 0 for a lot of these things. I want just enough trace element in there to make sure that it is bioavailable for corals if they need it. Nothing crazy. Not even trying to hit specific numbers. Just trying to get off of 0 specifically. What I would always just recommend is, if you want to be dosing something, you should be making the effort to test for it. So we will be sending out ICPs, not super frequently because, there's a lot here. But the idea is that we will keep a close enough eye on it to make just some really general things, and we'll go very light on the actual dosing. And again, the goal, just to give it just the slightest touch of availability. B, I'm passionate about all the things. You might be. Are you passionate about trucks though? Because I got some conversations that I want to have. Okay, so Jessen, me trying to set up some zoas for mutation testing with radioactive, trying to get a different morph. Interesting. Be careful of polytoxin. Zoas can have it, less so than pallies, but they can have it. My wife got me the bomb Beyond Insanity for my birthday. I don't like the bomb. Like, I've had it on numerous occasions. Okay, I think it just tastes bad. Like, I get that it's basically like you trolling yourself, but it's like battery acid flavored or something. It just tastes bad. Like, I don't mind super hot stuff because a lot of that stuff is Carolina Reaper based, and Carolina Reaper, ignoring the heat of that pepper, is legit delicious. Like, if they could have like a not spicy Carolina Reaper flavor, I'd be all over that. It's one of like the best tasting peppers. Habaneros are really tasty. The bomb is not tasty. It is disgusting. Rockfish Hobbit, hi from Rock of Gibraltar on the other side of the pond. Welcome, Rock of Fish Hobbit. Where is Rock of Gibraltar? Let me Google search that real quick. Oh my gosh. Okay. I can't. Oh. Okay. It won't let me highlight. Rock of Gibraltar. Where is this? Where is the map? Huh, that's interesting. Google Maps actually has like a height thing. Wow. Okay. Southern tip of Spain. Very cool. I should have known. I knew that was called the Strait of Gibraltar. Okay. Very cool. Slightly off topic. So Rashid's Stories Reef, YouTube member, thank you for your donation. He works with Polo Reef, and he's from Morocco. And when we visited New York, we had a lot of cool conversations about Morocco because so B, who was also staying with Rashid and I, she had been to Morocco, and I like to travel, but I've never been to Morocco before. And they're telling me all these things, and Rashid's wife was making us like the most ridiculously delicious breakfast, and breakfast is my favorite meal. And it was like this sprawling like spread of food every morning. It's like insane, like 16 dishes sort of thing. And it's like all just so delicious. So I'm like, yes, I want to go visit Morocco, which is across the Strait of Gibraltar from Spain. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What trace elements could be a thing? I've got a. Is that a RAS? Let me Google all the things. Hold on. No, okay, no, that's not a RAS. I was thinking it might have been. Okay, so that is a spiral gorgonian of some sort. You know what? I don't know if it's a trace element that you're missing. I know what you're talking about, though. Whenever we've had those, they've kind of not done great. They're missing something. I don't have the answer, unfortunately. The Carolina Reaper pepper was developed for weapons. Was it though? Was it? Because I thought that it was made by like Crazy Joe Pepper or something like that. That he just likes peppers. Like there's a dude that made Carolina Reapers, and he still has like, and he's like such a weird dude that he has like something called Pepper X that's like way hotter than a Carolina Reaper that he hasn't released, just in case somebody makes a pepper hotter than a Carolina Reaper, that he can like immediately go over top of it, like it's like a rap battle. So that would be like, I don't know, like the one time that Drake did 2 diss tracks for Meek Mill, and everybody was like all surprised because it's like usually you do like one then the other, but no, he had one ready to go. Like he had another one. So anyway, what is that? Like, is it the 2000s rap reference? But yeah, so this pepper dude has like a Pepper X ready to go. If you can cut the inner membrane and fillet the skin off of hot peppers, you can get past the spice. Nature bats last. If that does not work out, a Carolina Reaper will ruin your day. It is a very hot pepper. If that does not work out, it's yeah, you can build up to it, but boy, it's very hot. Funny thing, whenever I order spicy food from a restaurant now, I get either mild or no sauce, mild on the side. Like I am done trying to be like a hot sauce hero over here. Like I'm just here for the flavors. That's it. Funny story. When we were at Reef Stock, we attended like a thing for Jake at the Reef Builder studio, like a memorial, and there's a food truck out there, and this food truck was serving burritos. And everybody would, I showed up a little bit late. Everybody was saying like, look, do not mess with like the regular hot sauce. It is so hot. Like people were taking one bite and tears were streaming down their face. Like I thought that people were crying for like Jake. And some of them might have been. But they were also crying because of this burrito stuff. And so like, and it wasn't just like 1 or 2 people, like 10 plus people told me about the burritos. And so like when I went to order my burrito in the food truck, I'm like, give me the mildest sauce you got. And they're like, we can put it on the side too. And I'm like, yeah, put it on the side too. I'm not messing with anything right now. I'm not in the mood for this. By the way, if you don't believe me about like my ability to take hot sauces, we did a live stream. It was me, Nathan, and Becca, and we did one like a hot wings type challenge, and we did all the way up the ladder. We did the bomb. We did all of it. There's like 10 different like hot sauces, and it started off pretty hot. So yeah, that was us. You could go back and check the YouTube database for that. It's still live. Yeah, Pucker Butt Farms. That's him. That's the dude. Yeah, that's the guy that invented the Carolina Reaper, I think. Have you ever had Scotch bonnet pepper sauce? Yes, I have. The specific hot sauce company that I got that from was Queen Majesty. B, I gave mine away because it was so bad. My lips hurt for a week. Garlic hot sauce ruined my taste for hot sauces. No interest. I remember I was at BW3 and guys going up their hot sauce list, and I remember having garlic wings and their hottest wing. And I remember after having the hottest wing, going back to the garlic wing, and the garlic wing tasted like it was aloe vera soothing. Yeah. Chris, yeah, that was why I was crying. The hot sauce. Aw, Chris. But if you were crying for the hot sauce, you would not have been the only one. Like I remember us talking to Melissa from CJ, and she was just like, "Oh my god, tears! I took one bite, tears streaming down my face." So I'm like, "Nah, I am not here for that action at all. Not even a little bit." Okay. Wow, we're on number 182 already. Okay, so we're going to 252. You know what? I was gonna do at the halftime break. I was gonna do my thank yous and whatnots to the folks, so the sponsors. So let's do that real quick. So thank you very much to the two corporate sponsors. We have Ecotech Marine and we have Polyp Lab. Thank you guys very much. We do have a third spot open for a corporate sponsor, and I'm joking like I want like Sherwin-Williams or DeWalt to sponsor me. Like somebody outside of the aquarium industry altogether, because it's like you're playing favorites. I'm like, well, technically I've been using like Ecotech and Polyp Lab products for, I don't know, close to 20, like at least 15 years. You know, it's, I guess I'm playing favorites. I've been a customer forever, right? But I've got like a wall, like a predator wall of like DeWalt tools. Not that I wouldn't take Milwaukee or Festool money either, guys, you know, but yeah, I definitely, I could use a tool sponsorship. Yeah, that would work out. Anyway, Patreon donors: Angela Sherman, Big Lord Chi, Brandy Camp, Harkins Aquatics, Jeremy Altman, Scott Williams, Elaine Martinassi, Alan Jackson, Ann Lewis, Chuck Admire, Greg Bauer, Greg Zimmerman, Jordan Marty, Keith Singer, Kyle Jameson, Lisa Clow, Lacry Fine Art, who, by the way, I think I'll be seeing in Dallas coming up. That'd be very cool. She lives there. Lynn Holt, Michael Shelley, Puddle Aquatics, Reef Infidel, Ryan Baker, Skylar Korn, Sue Hemmons, Thomas Tarrant, and Tim Garner. And on the YouTube side, we have Keith Holland, Cvin13, JB Bryan, Terry Kuhn, Tampa Bay Aquaculture, Stories Reef, Morocco Story, Herb777, Justin Harden, and 328 Reef. So thank you guys so much. Thank you. I gave mine to the saltwater aquarium guys. They thought I was exaggerating, but their eyes started watering. Aw. Snap-on tools for reefers. Do I have a new niche for tools? So a couple of the guys here, they're kind of like mechanic-y a little bit, and they belly laugh at the price of Snap-on tools. And I'm like, but are they actually that good? And apparently they are that good, but I don't know if they are so good as to justify their price. Like, what level of professional do you have to be where Snap-on tools start to make sense? I don't know what that answer is. I'm like a tool junkie. I'm not actually like good at using all these tools. So I am kind of curious. But I do like tools that make life easy. And I think that the reason why I went so hard on tools is because I've lived my whole life doing the job with the wrong tool. That was just how it was done. We just always just did stuff with the wrong tools all the time. That's just how it was. It sucked. And it turns out that when you have the right tool for the job, it's so much easier. And so these days it's like we have like 3 different types of staple guns. Or no, we have 2 different types of staplers. We have a brad nailer. We've got like a regular nail gun, I think. Yeah, it's just like all different kinds of stuff. We just have all the things now because there is a perfect tool for this job. We should do it. It's bragging rights. Okay, so it's like the supreme of tools. I get it. You need Snap-on if you want to repair a van in front of your house within a few hours. They'll repair or replace your tool. That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Okay, so it turns out that drinking, I don't know, what is this, like 40 ounces of water makes you want to go to the bathroom. So, talks amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Excuse me. You going to Orlando next week? Okay, that's not for me. Let's see. Damn, I still need to know more about the spiral coral. Yeah. Unfortunately, like I've only had it like a couple of times. I've literally only had maybe 5 of those things ever. And they weren't in ideal conditions. Like I don't know if they eat anything in particular. You know what? I have a book right next to me. Speaking of Jake and reef builders, he actually recommended this book. Not sponsored. Indo-Pacific Corals by Joe Rowlett. I don't know if this is a care guide so much. Oh, look. So look, opened it right up to snake polyps, y'all. But they might have some info on said spiral thing. So I'm looking at gorgonians right now. Different types of sea whips and whatnot. Because what I'm curious to know is if there is like, they're known to feed on something specific. Okay, I'm going the wrong direction here. There's like so many. I mean, there's like some really cool like non-photosynthetic sea fans and stuff. But because I have a feeling that it's in addition to just like water chemistry, I mean, a lot of these things are like non-photosynthetic. A lot of them do require like kind of a specific diet that we're not able to replicate very easily. When it comes to like keeping a lot of these gorgonians, even at the professional like aquarium level, they only have success if they're pumping in fresh salt water. Okay, these are sea plumes. Am I gonna actually get to the spiral guys? Nope. Let's see. I was trying to like look in chat to see what the thing was. What the thing was called. Because I didn't see it. Just flipping through. Maybe, is it not a Gorgonian at all? I don't know. I'm going to leaf through the... Oh, here we go. They're technically black corals, huh? Because there's like this picture here. Oh, they said spiral there. That's a black coral. I don't know specific foods. They target with copepods, cyclops, reefroids. It grows really slow, but it needs something. Okay, search the sea. Let's see. I think I'm in the right section. I could be wrong. Yeah, found it. Found it. These guys. Okay. Let's see if they say anything about it. Okay, so they're not Gorgonians, they're black corals. Interesting. So largely unidentified. Cool, thanks. They're nocturnal corals. There's one from Indonesia that has zooxanthellae and belongs to a genetically distant lineage. So non-photosynthetic, that is not great. Yeah. So no, this is more. Yeah, there's. I wouldn't have expected care tips or anything like that from this book, but I was hoping to know if it like ate anything. And considering that the majority of them are non-photosynthetic, yeah, finding what they do eat might be a challenge. Okay. Anyway, book time's over. I believe spirals and sea whips are completely non-photosynthetic. Yeah, apparently one of them is not. But yeah, it is kind of curious as to like how that stuff goes. I mean, if it was me, knowing what I know now, what would I do? I would probably make the concoction, you know? I would hit up Reef Nutrition and find like 5 of their products. I'd hit up Polyp Lab, get some reefroids, make the slurry, you know, get the oyster feast, get the roe, get all that stuff, and just and phyto, obviously the different types of phyto, and just see if the coral will even like survive given like heavy doses of that stuff. Because what's going to happen is this: you're going to grow vermitid snails like crazy. Is what's about to happen. But it would be interesting just to even see if like you could nutritionally keep this thing alive. And I'd put it on a doser that would come on and feed all night long. It is not easy to do, and I think that the lengths of feeding that a lot of these non-photosynthetic filtered feeders you have to do and have to go through usually compounds other pest issues. Like there are a lot of problematic filter feeders that would love to just be fed like this all night long, and then you wake up to 1,000 of them when they sexually broadcast spawn. That sort of thing. I would almost wonder, like, this is just me like brainstorming here when it comes to like non-photosynthetic coral setups. I was thinking like if you were to take, you'd have like a cascade tank system. So you'd have your return pump from the sump feed your main tank, but also a secondary tank, and but that's like much smaller, and that tank has like all of your automatic filter feeding type foods. So it would get like very highly saturated in there. And now that like return pumps are pretty largely controllable, you could probably for like the evening hours turn down the return pump to like a fraction of its normal strength, assuming like one goes to your main tank, the other one goes to the secondary tank, and then the secondary tank gravity drains back down into your main tank to feed off any of the uneaten type excess, and therefore giving like your smaller tank effectively like a massive water change all the time to keep it cleaner. And that amount of food for your main tank isn't so problematic. So I'm talking like big main tank, big sump, tiny non-photosynthetic tank. I'm curious to see like how something like that would work. Brainstorming once again. Jessa, in addition to this, wire corals being carnivorous organisms should be fed on small meaty items such as baby brine, rotifers, cyclopes, fish eggs, and other zooplankton, says Wikipedia. Yep, seems as a filter feeder. Yeah, makes sense. But then again, having said all that, I don't know a lot of people that have success with this sort of thing. One time when I was experimental a long time ago, and I had access to worse equipment, I had a fridge, like one of those little dorm fridges, and in the dorm fridge I had some stuff from Reed Mariculture, which Reef Nutrition is a subsidiary. There's some relationship between Reed and Reef Nutrition. Anyway, so I had like different types of like these liquid foods that you had to refrigerate, and then I had a dosing pump that would send food into like kind of like a venturi sort of thing, and that would basically pump water through, and so it would like broadcast feed so often based on this dosing pump. What happened though was the venturi does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to just to suck, and the dosing pump system it was a cheap dosing pump. So the rubber thing fell off the roller or something, and so it created a siphon effect, and it sucked a year's worth of phytoplankton into the tank overnight. So the next day, my 1,000-gallon system is completely green, right? Completely phytoplankton green. But the non-photosynthetic filter feeders like the Dendronephthia and the Scleronephthia and stuff like that, they were the happiest coral imaginable. Like they were 4 times the size. Now, obviously, that level of like phytoplankton in your water, not sustainable. But clearly, the key to this is heavy feeding to a level that might not be sustainable for a closed system. I don't know. Maybe there's some scientific journals on this, B, if you're still listening. Maybe there are answers to this already that other people have figured out that I just haven't. But I definitely have not figured it out. Yeah, need microscopic level to observe and know what it feeds on. Yeah, that ain't happening. Not by me anyway. Not by me. Dendronephthia is working great here, just like a few gorgonians. That's a really challenging one. That's a real challenging one to keep long term. All right. Every time I actually pay attention to my own stream, it's like It's zoanthids. Lots of zoas. For a while there, our zoas were slower growing because we were kind of treating every system as though it was trying to grow acros. And I think that they kind of got starved out because our tanks are getting progressively cleaner, which I guess like theoretically is good. One would think that that would be a positive thing, but I think that they might have been getting a little bit too clean, possibly too clean. The Pokemon dentist. Reluctant to get back into the hobby because I seem to move every year or so. Okay. Hate to set up a tank and get all settled and stable just to move. Any tips for my situation? Honestly, I would not set up a tank. I know a lot of people do it. But if you had to set up a tank, do something, like modest size, something very, very, very small and manageable, to the point where you could just give everything away, including the tank itself, and then move. Like it's like that level of you can move on from this stage. Because moving once a year is a lot, and moving is a highly stressful thing for these poor animals. It's a highly stressful thing for you to then have to move those animals. Like it's a mess. So like it's like whatever you are willing to put into this, I would be willing to give away when it's time to go. That sort of thing. Or you could live vicariously through other people. Join a reef club. Like dead serious. Like don't have a tank. Join a reef club. It's like, you know what? I don't have a yacht, but I'm going to join a yacht club anyway. I know somebody who's literally done that before, or joined a sailing club. I'm like, I was like talking to this girl at the time, and I was like, "You don't have a boat. Like, what are you joining the sail club for?" And apparently, if you're like a pretty blonde girl, other people with sailboats would love to have you aboard and take you out sailing for a weekend. But anyway, live vicariously. I had a point there. Live vicariously through other people's aquariums. Join a club. Reefer Matt, hi man. Everything is looking great as usual. Thank you so much. I'm really happy with how stuff turned out. Like I mentioned it before earlier, but we're not doing the color changing slide, and partly because it is a cool special effect, but it is a special effect, and oftentimes it can be a heavy-handed edit. Whereas like looking at it under just a single type of light with minimal editing, you get a much cleaner image. So every now and again, I like to do a clean image live stream, and so I kind of appreciate how the stuff looks under kind of a little bit more natural settings. What was I thinking? We have about 20 minutes left, so get some last minute questions in if you would like, or save it until next time. Next time is, when is the next live stream? Let me take a quick look at my calendar. What kind of stuff do we have coming up? So later this month, we're doing a reef to reef thing at the end of the month on the 29th. Next month, the YouTube show will be, I was like, is there a YouTube show? Will be the 27th. So it'll be a good little hiatus before we get back and hang out together online here. Wow. You may or may not even see me in person for much of May. I'm going to be going to Bulk Reef Supply. Speaking of the earlier question about bulk Reef Supply pricing power, I'm going to be going and hanging out with those guys and filming some videos for their channel in like the early parts of May. And then the very next week, I'm going to be going to Dallas for Aquashala. And then the week after that is the YouTube show. So yeah, pretty action-packed May coming up. But before that, there's still April 29th, Reef to Reef show. And I believe, weekend before. No, same weekend. Brandy is going to be coming over and we're going to be shooting some more videos. Cool. Cool, cool. Good to have all your ducks in a row. Joining the TG club. Do we have a Discord? You know what? I missed the Discord thing altogether. I've never used Discord. And I used to do online gaming. And I quit World of Warcraft just as people started using Discord. So I'm like familiar with a lot of chat software. I'm familiar with like Ventrilo and TeamSpeak or whatever the heck that was popular back then. But then came Discord, and by that time I had already quit. And I've never gotten back into Discord. And I guess I'm like on the periphery. Like I know a lot of people that do Twitch like Discord, and I know that the Reef Beef guys do have a Discord. I've never personally used it, so it is just one of those things that I'm just weirdly ignorant of. Like I'm so close that I should know these things, but that is one platform I haven't messed with. Everyone's like, start a Discord, Dan. Have you ever done a tank with only a return pump? Maybe. I don't remember off the top. I've done a lot of tanks. Probably, yeah, probably. But then again, like over time, we end up having to add flow. So flow is one of those things that it's not a set it and forget it thing for us. We always have to constantly reevaluate flow because today's success is tomorrow's failure. Like coral in and of themselves will mess up your plans for flow. John Jones, what's up? How are you guys? Happy Easter to everybody. Oh, that's a cool bunny bunny emoji. Haven't seen that one before. It's a very nice platforming Discord. You should give it a try. Yeah, Discord channel. I don't know. Will I even have time or energy? Maybe if it was like a truck Discord. seems to be like what I'm really here for. Is to make a truck. Oh man, almost to the end, y'all. I think is 252 the last? I believe so. I've been repeating that all show, and it's like, is that actually true? Is that actually the case? I believe it is. Oh man. But yeah, it's been fun. It's a good way to spend a weekend, I'll tell you. I'm getting super hungry though, and I've been addicted to hot pot lately. There's like this place. It's been here a little while, but they serve sushi and they serve like hot pot, and I've become like a hot pot connoisseur. Like I know exactly what to order, and it comes in like a platter like this big, and I can eat the entire thing in one sitting. It's pretty miraculous. Long story short, I want to go have hot pot after this. Let's see. Most important question: Horde or Alliance? I was in Alliance. Yeah, dude. I used to play okay. I had a full-time job. I was in law school. Technically, Tidal Gardens existed, so there was that side hustle going on in the background. And I probably played 40 hours a week of World of Warcraft. That was an unhealthy lifestyle, let me tell you. That was like a very sedentary lifestyle. And I remember like playing World of Warcraft so much that I would just like skip meals. Like I'd get hungry just like this, right? I'd be getting hungry, and I would just keep playing until the hunger like just went away on its own. Like that's messed up if you kind of think about that. And I would literally just not eat. And I remember like not getting like nearly enough exercise, being like going from sedentary job to sedentary law school to sedentary uh recreation. And I remember like walking and I could feel my knee like wiggle as I walked. I'm like, oh, this is not good. This is really, really not good. So I quit World of Warcraft after that. Yeah, so funny thing. I graduated law school and then I quit World of Warcraft. You would think that law school would have been a good reason to quit World of Warcraft and start studying more, but that didn't happen at all. I had a lot of free time after I graduated law school and quit the video games. Anyway, side tale there. Interesting hot pot. Yeah, we have one in my little town. Different types of spices. You can select your own meat. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And since I've tried most of the ingredients, it's like I know exactly what I'm looking for now. So, yeah, I have a very streamlined experience there. Wow, that is crazy. Startup mode, full job. No, it was a disaster. Like everything got, everything got minimum effort. Like school got minimum effort, the business got minimum effort, sleep, exercise, and diet got minimum effort. Not the best. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we haven't talked about that's been going on here. Um, we will be having some more folks visiting. Like, uh, we actually had King of DIY. If you guys know Joey Mullen, he does more freshwater content, but he was a speaker at a local club here, and last minute, but we were able to schedule him to come by and check out this place. He made a video on his channel, and I think that like more other YouTubers are starting to get wind of this place and are setting up some special visits. So that's something worth looking forward to, I guess. I'm still like in talks, just like scheduling some folks, but yeah, coming up in the near future, I'm hoping to get some more folks over here. I think I had talked to Worldwide Coral, and they're planning on doing something in June. So we haven't like picked out an actual date or anything like that, but that's kind of like penciled in. We had Polar Reef come over, so Andrew and Rashid and that whole crew. They came with like 6 guys. So I mean, it was those two and like 4 media guys, and they shot all day one day. So we're there. I think they're getting really, really close to getting like a final cut done on their video of their visit here, which is really cool. So yeah, I think that like coming up, there's going to be a lot more Tidal Gardens, but it's going to be more on other people's channels than just my own. As for my own, we had just published a video last night, if you happen to catch that. It was all about Eurobrace versus rimless aquariums. And it was kind of just timely because Becca, on her tank, it was like the only rimless tank here. We converted it from a rimless to a Eurobrace, and it's turned out really, really nice. Like it's a breath of fresh air, like utilitarian wise, just to have like a place to set stuff on the rim. Really nice. So we did that. I am working on a video showcasing a couple of pumps from Abyss. I'm still working on a tutorial on how to get rid of remitted snails, and I'm doing some light scripting for my visit to New York when I visited Polar Reef this last time. I visited once before, but I had gone back to be a speaker on a panel that they were doing for a local reef club, and it was like cool to see an update. So it's kind of all about like an update, like a small update on their big tank, but it was more looking at some of the other tanks that don't get talked about as much over there. So that has to get all scripted up, but yeah, there's quite a bit of content coming down the pike. That's the right saying, right? It's coming down the pike. Is that how you say that? Coming down the pike. Yep. I'm trying to clean up my metaphors. Like I don't want to do as many mixed metaphors. So anyway, you guys, it's almost to the end. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Last thank you. Thank you to the corporate sponsors, Ecotech and Polyp Lab. Actually, speaking of people to come over, I want to get both of those guys back over here. So Polyp Lab has never been over here, but Ecotech has. And I also want to visit Ecotech at their place in Pennsylvania. So that's my story with that. So yeah, a lot of little like pockets of activity and opportunities to collaborate on videos and stuff. So looking forward to all of that. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I don't know if you guys have anything planned. I definitely do not. But I think me and Hot Pot is sounding really, really good. Even though weekend Hot Pot is like $26. So it's not cheap. Like lunch Hot Pot during the week is like 17. So I don't know. If one of you guys can like buy a $20 coral, I can afford some Hot Pot tonight. Anyway, that does it from here. Thanks you guys. Happy reefing. I'm out of here.